Wow. Wow. This is unreal, folks. This is unreal. This is unreal. The den was closed. The lions were sleeping. They were tired. The lions were tired. The lions were sleeping. And all of a sudden, lies started to spread. The lies started to grow. Nonsense started to fill the air. And the people that were spreading these lies got away with it. No consequences. Well, guess what? The lions got tired. The lions said, we're hungry. We're hungry and we're tired. Which means there's only one thing we can do. We got to eat you for dinner. But then they said, we don't have that leader. We don't have someone to give us that fire. We need rejuvenation, folks. We need rejuvenation. The Patriots Den is back. Season 2. That's what we're going to call it. The Rejuvenation of Truth. Many of you are saying, what's up with the outfit? That's because I'm going to lead this army. I put on the military jacket because I'm about to lead this army, and we are going to bring back the truth. We are bringing back the truth. We are rejuvenating it. We are bringing it back alive. Patriots Den is back on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like, share, make sure you tell your friends that we are back. And we don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. Now, I want to get straight to business. I'm going to show y'all a video here. And this video, it brought me back. It said, wait a second. People are falling off of what they normally do. People are starting to bow to the mob. People are starting to give up in places where we shouldn't give up. Right? That's what was happening. That's what was happening. Well, guess what? I want to show y'all this video. This guy in this video, he's a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine, and he apparently had the wrong view of something, and you'll understand that when we get to it. To the point where someone he liked blocked him, unfollowed him. And so because the person he liked blocked him and unfollowed him, this is what he went and did. Watch the video. Now, I understand that if you hurt someone, right, that you should apologize. That's the right thing to do. You should apologize. But in the background of his video, he had a flag, and that was the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. What I found hypocritical is that he allowed someone to tread on him and force him to make this apology video. Right? They were forced to make this apology video. Now, I don't understand how we can call ourselves, or he can call himself, a staunch Christian, stood strong on what he's saying. People are saying there was no sound. I'll try to play the video again. I don't get it. He played the game that he wanted, that the person wanted him to play. Right? Can y'all hear that? I want to stop it right there. He doesn't regret anything. Right? He's saying there's regret. There's no regret. Someone said, who is the speaker that you're referencing? This is Aiden Pierce. Now, I was on Aiden's podcast a while back, and he's a great guy. Right? I think he's a great guy. But the problem is that this video was not made in apology, right? It wasn't made because he sincerely had a change of heart, right? That is what I'm referring to. It's not because there was a change of heart here that made him make an apology video of what he said. Now, everyone said, what did he say? I'm going to tell you what he said. On his podcast, he said that he believes that transgenders should have their own sport, which means that just like we have the WNBA and the NBA, then we should have a transgender league and break that into two, right? That's what he said. I don't think that's offensive to anyone. But someone messaged him who he just so happened to be close with, and they didn't like what he said. So he went out and made an apology video for something that I don't think was wrong. Most of you most likely don't think is wrong. But that's where we've gotten as a nation. That's where we have gotten as Christians. That's where we have gotten as conservatives. We have allowed people to bend us over. We have allowed people to make us bow. We can no longer do that. We can no longer take a stance of bowing. We have to stand strong in what we believe. And if you believe that about the transgender community, then more power to you. That's what you should do. So when I heard about this, when I saw this, because he sent it to me, I then went on Twitter and I said this right here. As Christians, we must not bow to the mob. We must stand firm in our faith and remember that God's word is the final authority in our lives, not the passing whims of popular opinion. Right? Just because someone doesn't like what you say does not mean that you're wrong. If someone finds what you find what you say offensive, that's because they were offended. Whose problem is that? Is that yours? No. If you don't like what I say, if you don't like what I do, you can scroll, you can keep moving, or as my mom's podcast say, you can block me now. It's all up to you. It's your decision. What do you want to do? But you do not have the ability or the power to bend the truth around your finger and use it when you want, and being able to add into it for a context that only you will understand. You will not have the light of day on the Patriots Den to come on here and say, well, Baby MAGA, PJ, Patrick, I didn't like what you said on the last show. I think you need to make an apology video. It's not going to happen. Because now is the time where someone has to stand up and lead an army that has never been led before. Which is why we got the outfit. Because we are going to be a leader that will not bow. And I'm not saying that I'm going to lead you because you got to lead others. No. I was watching a video today, and the video said, what is a leader? What defines leadership? What makes a person a leader? And it said a leader is only a leader because they have followers. I said, interesting. And they said, just because you see someone making people do what they want them to do and people are going in that direction does not make them a leader. A leader is someone who can get people to volunteer to follow them. So what I'm doing is I'm telling you, hey, I'm going right. I'm going over yonder. Here's why I'm going over yonder. And if I can get you to follow me over yonder just from the words of me explaining why I'm doing it, therefore I can now declare myself a leader. But if I have to come to you, beat you, force you, pull you, drag you in my direction, I am not a leader. I am just bringing forth an authoritarian belief. That is not a leader. The Republican Party must learn that we no longer have to force anything on anybody. What is happening in this country right now is laid out plain and simple. We don't have to force it on anyone. Just yesterday, I went to a meeting. I went to an event at a library for kids. It was conversation about a book at this meeting. They wanted the book banned. Now, what I'm about to show you is a bit graphic. But mind you, the content that I'm about to show you was in a book dedicated to children. This is in a book dedicated to children. Instagram, I'm about to give you the picture 1 second. This isn't a children's book, people. These are images that we had to speak out on to get removed from a library for children. For children. And the book promotes, all right, putting more books like it in the library. I shouldn't have to force, beat, or drag you to say that this is wrong. Anyone with common sense, anyone with some kind of sensibility knows that is wrong. Kids should not be reading a book like this. I shouldn't have to drag you into that direction and make you believe that. No. You should know this on your own. Here's another one. The book is admitting what is in the book, and they're trying to make it right. It's showing a teenage boy, right? A teenage boy goes in his library, And the book says, at the library, I began to discover more and more queer books. Then it mentions 2 books that you can actually go and buy, both which include very tame gay sex scenes. Now, my problem here, and I haven't showed you the worst of it, and I'm not going to put it up here because the book does include gay sex scenes in the book for children. We had to go to the library. We had to go to the library and protest that this book be taken either out of the library or out of the kids section. Why do I have to protest to get something like this taken out of the school library? Why is this book even available for kids? Who went through the process of checking to make sure that this is a book that they could sell? I'm going to show one more picture. The book is promoting sex toys to children. As a leader, I don't have to force you, push you, or drag you. If you think that that is okay, then I don't need you going where I'm going. If you think that this is okay to have in a library for kids, then we should not be on the same team, same side, same page. We should not be having conversation. We should not be conversing. We probably shouldn't even be in the same room because I question you. But we went up to the library. They removed it. They're taking it to court. Because why was this allowed in the first place? There's other pictures that are in this book that I cannot show you. I cannot show you the pictures that were in this book because I will be taken down off of all these web pages. And the FBI just might come knocking at the door because it's child pornography. Because the acts that are in the book are children doing them. There are children performing the gay acts. Children. Do I need to go back and show you the picture of the boy? There are children reading the books. That is why today I am going to lead an army. I am standing here as a chief, a general, whatever you want to call it. We are going to lead an army. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. If I have to force you to say this is wrong, then you don't need to be a part. But all I have to do is sit here and show you the images. All I have to do is tell you this is what's going on. And many people, there was a woman I met at the library yesterday. And I told her, I said, and she said, yeah, they told me there was this book and I didn't believe it, so I had to come see for myself. Okay. She came and she saw for herself. She was appalled. She was disgusted. She didn't know what to do. She needed to get to us, to talk to us. She had an 8-year-old child who goes to that library that could have picked up that book. The mother who brought it to attention has an 8-year-old child that asked her about it. That's why we found it. This was not okay then. It's not okay now. And it's not going to be okay tomorrow. Until we stand up and say enough is enough of the foolishness. They will continue to push this stuff, not only in the libraries, but in the schools, in the curriculum of the schools, and so much more. It showed kids how to purchase sex toys. It promoted books that had what it had in the book. And they argued against us as if it's normal to do what they had done? No. If I have to fight you to say that I'm right, then if you're an elected official, we're just going to get you out of there. There needs to be laws passed, which I know they're doing in Texas. I know they're doing in Florida. I know they're doing it in these states to protect the youth from these things. If it was in the adult section, we wouldn't have to have such a long conversation about it. But the conversation is, there are people apologizing for calling this wrong. There are people apologizing for saying that this is not normal. There are people apologizing for saying the truth. Since when did we apologize for speaking the truth? Since when was speaking the truth not the normal thing to do? It's been said many times. The truth hurts. The truth hurts. And if we continue to just say, oh, the truth hurts, and use that as an excuse, 2024 will not go how we want it to go. In 2024, stuff like that needs to be plastered everywhere, saying, hey, look what they're trying to do to the kids. Look what they're doing to the youth. Look what they want in schools. That alone wins you the election. That alone pushes you over. That alone stops the madness. But you're saying, oh, you're just over-exaggerating. I like this comment by Tish in Tampa. He was operating in a spirit of fear to apologize. Absolutely. Absolutely. Many people now are operating in a spirit of fear. Absolutely. Which is why I love when I put this tweet out that says, remember that God's word is the final authority in our lives, not the passing whims of popular opinion. Who cares what someone else thinks? If you're right, you're right. If you get offended that 2 + 2 is 4, that is not my problem. You need to take that up with yourself or with a therapist or someone. I cannot help you. That sounds like a personal problem to me. If you are offended by that, right? While at the same time, they try to push this as if it's normal, but they get offended by us. No. They also try to say, oh, look at what they did when Bud Light put out the transgender. They tried to cancel Bud Light. They laughed. They called us soft. Well, did we forget Aunt Jemima? Did we forget Uncle Ben's rice? Did we forget Land O'Lakes? You removed the Indian, but you kept the land. Did we forget that? They've been running with cancel culture since the beginning. Why haven't we? They have been using cancel culture as a weapon. Why haven't we? They have been using ballot harvesting where it's legal as a weapon. Why haven't we? They have been doing all this stuff. Why haven't we? Because their message is spreading. Their message is spreading. Right? Well, guess what? Y'all got to gear up and get like me. Go in your closets and get your military coats. If you don't have one, go buy one, because now we're going to war. This is a cultural battle. A cultural battle. And right, I'm geared up. I'm geared up. You see, I got my military jacket on now. I am geared up. And I am ready to take on the culture war. I am ready to draw the line once again between wrong and right. Right? I am ready to take that action. I'm ready to take that course. Are you ready, though? They have launched a full-on assault to gain the Gen Z vote. Well, I got news for them. For all of the ones who say, oh, we're going to get the Gen Z vote. The Gen Z vote is ours. All that about the Gen Z. Gen Z is voting Trump. Because we see what you're trying to do. We see what you're putting in our schools. We see the actions you're putting towards us. We see it. Kamala Harris called Gen Z stupid. And that we didn't know how to make the right decision. So I went and see who Gen Z voted for. They voted for her. I said, oh yeah, they are stupid. They don't know how to make the right decision. She's right. But we're going to show we educated ourselves just a little bit. And we're going to get you out of there. Because people like her say they're banning books. They're like the Nazis. They're like the Nazis. They're trying to ban books. No. The books that we're trying to ban are the books like this. The books that we're trying to get rid of are books that shouldn't be written in the first place. The books that we're trying to ban are show images that you can only find on perverted websites. Those are the books that we're trying to ban. Right? The books that we're trying to ban. These are the books we're trying to ban. We're trying to ban books that are pushing sex ed and sex sounds in the book. This book is a page talking about STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. Do you know what the book says about sexually transmitted diseases? That kind of sex sounds risky and unappealing. Great. I'm glad you think so. But then a couple of pages later, and I can't show the picture, is another type of intercourse that's risky and unappealing. And there are teenage boys committing the acts of it. This is what's in the libraries. This is what they're trying to push down our throats, and we have people making apology videos? No. Can't be the America I live in. It's impossible that this is the America that we are now in. Impossible. And if we think that's bad, well, I got news for you. Title 42, I believe it is. They want to overturn that. They want to get rid of that. Now we're going to open our borders. Opening our borders wide. And the people in charge say, oh, there's no problem. There's no problem at all. But then when you go to the border and you look at it, there are people lined up for miles ready to come in. And I look and I say, wait a second. I look at South Chicago. I look at certain parts of New Orleans, Houston, LA. And I say, wait a second. America is barely taking care of its own citizens. America is barely keeping the American citizen born in this country afloat. But now we're about to let in thousands of immigrants. I have to scratch my own back before I can scratch yours. I gotta feed myself before I can feed you, or else I gotta go get food for me because or else we'll both be hungry. We'll both scratch. Why is it that America can see everyone else's problem, but we can never see our own? We can see Ukraine's problem. We can see Mexico's problem. We can see Cuba's problem. We can see Russia's problem. We can see the UK's problem, and we are all of a sudden the problem solver. Let me ask you a question. Would you let a plumber who can't fix his own toilet work on yours? Would you let a blind doctor work on your eyes? would you let a teethless dentist work on your teeth? Would you let a foot doctor work on your hands? We're not certified to help them because we can't help ourselves. And when you look at how we're helping them, in reality, it doesn't help them. It just hurts them. Because all we do is send them a little money, send them $1 or $2, trillions at the end of that. And then after we send them, $1 or $2, we then come to our own. The American government comes to us and say, "Oh, by the way, we're in debt. We need the debt ceiling raised, and we're about to roll over." Wait a minute, what? We don't have money. So now we have Kevin McCarthy and Joe Biden right now arguing about raising the debt ceiling because America has no money. But we have sent over $5 trillion to Ukraine because we've been sending $5 trillion at a time. But we don't have money? We've been sending billions and trillions of dollars to Israel, but we don't have money? We are about to let in all these immigrants, but we don't have money to pay the bills of this country? We left all these weapons in Afghanistan, but we don't have enough money to pay our own bills? This is the night that the lights went off in DC. Because it can't even take care of itself. Yet it attempts to take care of everyone else. Then we look over with the Russia-Ukraine situation, and it seems the more money we give them, Ukraine starts to look more and more like the enemy. It looks like two evils going against each other. You have Zelensky, who, used to be that actor or whatever. I don't see where and why we are sending them all this money, giving them all this time and chances. There are too many chances that we have continuously given to people who don't deserve it. And it does not stop here, by the way. It's going to continue. We are going to continue to doing this kind of stuff until we can get people in office who keep their promises and all work on one accord together. Because when you have people running for the House of Representatives saying one thing, people running for Senate saying another thing, and then the person running for president saying something completely different, nothing is ever going to get done. Because while the president is trying to do something, then the Senate's focused on something completely different, and the House is in la-la land. Now nothing is done because everyone was living in their own world, doing whatever they wanted to do. That's where we are as a country. Everyone is in their own world, doing whatever they want to do, and they know there will be no consequences. They know it. They know it. There will be no consequences now, but in 24, if we wake up, if we do what's right, elect the people who need to be elected, right? Then we can win. You say, well, what are some of the things that we need to focus on? I put out a tweet, and I want to show you all this tweet that I put out. On May 8th, I said, in order to make America great again, we need to focus on jobs, education, the border, and cultural reform to create a nation that our founding fathers envisioned and created. It's simple as that. It's simple as that. Jobs. We need open up. We did it in during the Great Depression. Governmental jobs. Instead of the private contracts, the government would open up facilities that citizens could go to and help on projects. The roads were being fixed a lot quicker and a lot faster because people were taking the initiative to do what's best for their country. It's almost like going to the military, except instead of signing up for the military, you sign up to do the work around the country that needs to be done. Building a hospital, building roads. The government paid people to do it. All you have to do is go sign up. We got to bring back something that encourages people to work, not pay them not to work, like we see in California. They are paying people to be homeless. They are paying people not to work. Why do we continue to do that? We have to break that cultural norm. Next is education. We need to go back to the basics. No one needs to learn about gender ideology and the they, them in school. That's not what you go to school for. If that's what they want, let them do that at home. Let the parent teach their child about that. We come to school to learn how to read, write, and 2 plus 2. And a little history here and there. But we have people running around here that say, I'm not a man, even though I was born a male, but I'm actually a female. Okay, that's great. Write your name. Oh, I don't know how. Well, what's 3? Oh, I don't know. What's 4 times 3? I don't know. Right? But they can walk around saying, switching my gender. I'm not that. Really? Because that's what the schools are pushing. There are teachers with gay flags in their classrooms around the country. It's straight up indoctrination. And the kids don't even know how to read, spell. There was a teacher on TikTok that got fired because she didn't have an American flag in her classroom. So whenever the Pledge of Allegiance would come on, she would tell her kids to pledge to the gay flag. Really? Indoctrination. They're trying to normalize it, push it down our throats, which is why I say, if you're a leader, you don't have to push someone in your direction. All you got to do is say, hey, I'm going over here because 1, 2, 3. And if they follow, boom, you got it. All right. I believe that Whataburger is better than In-N-Out. And if I say I'm going to Whataburger, they have better fries, better burgers, more menu options. Right? And you're like, okay, let's go. That doesn't make me an authority. I was able to lead you. I was able to give you facts and you volunteered to follow. The left cannot do that. They have to push it down your throat. They cannot volunteer you to follow them because they don't make sense. Have y'all ever sat down and listened to one of Kamala Harris's speeches? Have y'all ever sat down and listened to one of Joe Biden's speeches? Have you ever sat down and listened to any of the Democrats' speeches? It's a word puzzle. There is no real substance to it. It sounds great, but none of it actually works. They get up there, we are going to give you free healthcare. We are going to get rid of that racism. We are going to give your tuition free at college. Wow. All of this stuff sounds amazing, great. But then when you walk up to them and you start breaking it down, how exactly are you going to give us free tuition? All of you that were promised free tuition, did you ever get that? All of you who Joe Biden and Kamala Harris promised to forgive you for your student loans, did you ever get forgiven? That racism, did they ever get rid of that? Police brutality that they promised it, did they ever get rid of that? no upgrading of taxes. They weren't going to raise your taxes. Well, now that we don't have no money, looks like you're going to get your taxes raised. Everything that they lie, they say in the sounds great. How many people wouldn't want free health care? How many people would love to go to the hospital, get what you need to do for free? I would love that. The problem is, it's not logically able to happen in an American society. How many of you would love to have your student loans forgiven? Amazing, right? The problem is, it's not logically able to happen. It's not realistic. It can't happen, and it will never happen. Because one, America doesn't have the money to pay them to forgive your loans, because the schools still get paid. Even though it's loan forgiveness, in reality, they write the check to the college, and then the college says, okay, you don't owe us anymore because they paid for it. We don't have the money. We don't have the resources to do any of it. Free hospitals, the doctors still got to get paid. You still got to be able to pay for the equipment. Who is going to pay them? The government would pay them, which means now you're getting the health care the government wants you to get. They're using the equipment in the hospital the government wants you to use. Now we're getting into dangerous territory, because if the government knew what was best for the people, we wouldn't be here. Would you trust the government to pick your doctor and the medicine that doctor gives you? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You don't trust the government to do stuff like that. You can barely trust the government with taxes, with your dollars that you're giving them. So of course you wouldn't trust them to give you a doctor. You wouldn't trust them to give you a dentist. You wouldn't trust them for that. They say they'll give you a lawyer, a public defender, and they're not really good. That's government quality. You wouldn't trust that. Sounds great when they say it, though, but when you break it down and you look at it, you wouldn't trust it. Now, they are looking at finishing the job. That's what Joe Biden said. We have to finish the job. Well, Joe, I got bad news for you. The job was never started because you blew it all up. Build Back Better was just a way to spend money. All of these bills that everyone's so excited about, way to spend money. The infrastructure bill, yeah, that only affects like 5 states out of 50. Waste of money. And the rest of the money went to Ukraine, and that was bipartisan. Republicans and Democrats alike were excited about it. Why is that? Because 10% for the big guy. All that money didn't go to Ukraine. They said it did, but did you actually read the bills? None of us do. Right? You wonder why congressmen, when they get into office, they're worth maybe 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. They're hundredaires is what we like to call them. But then when they get out of office, they're millionaires. Same thing with presidents. They go in, millionaires, hundredaires, and then they come out multi-million dollars. Multi-million dollars. That's what they're worth when they get out. They always come out richer than they were when they went in. They are public servants. Just like your police, just like your mayors, just like your councilmen. These are all public members. But why is it that when the councilmen, the presidents, the senators, when they go in, they always come out richer than before? But everyone else, then they go in, they come out about the same. Because when you're up there, the door's closed. No one's really looking into it. They say they are, but no one's really looking into the backdoor deals. What did you get out of voting yes, and what did you get out of voting no? No one ever looks at that part. You have corruption. That's why when we say we want our councilmen to, when we want our congressmen to care about these books that we see, we want our congressmen to care about what our kids are learning. We want our congressmen to care about the border. We want our congressmen to care about all these things. You can yell, you can scream it as loud as you want. But as long as they're not affected by your vote and they can stay in office, they'll never solve the situation. But the moment we start getting them out of office and the next guy is in, the next guy will say, okay, wait a minute. These guys aren't playing. The voters want what the voters want. I gotta get on my P's and Q's. That's when the backdoor deals stop. They'll be more open because every time someone does what they shouldn't do, gone. And the faster you get them out, the faster we remove them, the faster we pick those weeds, the straighter they're going to get. They're going to start falling in line because they'll realize that, wait a second, this isn't right. This is not what they want. Then they'll remember who they work for. They work for us. Washington, D.C. works for the people. We the people. And I know Joe Biden said in his State of the Union address, we the people is the government. No. We the people is not the government. We the people was not the government then. We the people is not the government now. And we the people will not be the government in the future. We the people are us the people, those who vote, those who pay your bills. That's who the people are. And now that we are sick and tired of being sick and tired of the indoctrination and the nonsense that they are allowing people to shove down our throats, Bud Light learned the hard way. Bud Light, even though they didn't put it on their bottles, they put their foot in a door of an area that they should not have touched. And now look what happened. They are now feeling the wrath and the fury of the Americans, the average American who does not buy the stuff that they're trying to sell. Why is that? Why is that we see something like that? I'm going to show you right here. Because the rejuvenation of truth is on. The rejuvenation of truth is on and it is showing no sign of stopping. It's fast and it's furious. Right? And the quicker they realize, the quicker they catch on, the quicker that fire is lit, they will realize that we are not woke, but we are awake. The lions have no reason to sleep anymore. We are hungry. Hungry for truth, hungry for vengeance, and hungry for rejuvenation of what we envision as a true American living in America. It's time that we stand up and reestablish those values that our ancestors, our grandparents held so dear that allowed them to make it. Those values of both parents in the home. Those values that the school teaches, the reading, writing, and the math and the history, and the parents teach at home. Those values of the parents have a say what their child sees at school. Those values that no matter what the outside world does, when you come to the home, you should feel safe. The values of the kid shouldn't have to work to put food on the entire house's table. The values of pedophilia is pedophilia, no matter who does it and how they identify. The values of not any and everybody can walk in the women's restroom just because they can feel like it that day. The values that, yes, that men have a bonus in sports. They get a little boost. And that men should not play in women's sports. Those values, the conservative common sense now, values. I hope I didn't hit too close to home. Values. The values that the government works for the people, not Ukraine. The government works for the people, not Mexico. The government works for the people, not immigrants trying to get in. The government is to protect us from the illegal immigration, the drug trafficking, and the sex trafficking that is happening in this country. The government is not supposed to be a crutch or a cripple for those. You are supposed to get up and work hard and try to make an honest living in this nation. Not get paid to be homeless. Not get paid not to work. Now, if you're in tough times and you need a little unemployment, sure. But you can't stay on it forever. There are people who want to stay on this stuff forever, just never work, never do anything. No. Let's go back to doing things the legal and right way. Let's go back to doing things where you got to work hard for it. Go back to doing things the way they called the honest way of life. If you want something, go get it. No one can stop you. Stop bowing to the mob. Stop letting people say you can't do it. You want to do it, go do it. But don't look to the government to give you a helping hand. Stop. It's a cripple. There was a time that the government paid people, paid women, to have a bunch of kids and then throw the father out. And then the government would pay you. They did home visits just to make sure the father wasn't there. The government has always wanted to be a cripple towards the American citizen. Don't let them. If that's a normal thing in your family, you be the change. You be that culture breaker. You reform the narrative in your life. You reform the narrative in your family tree. You reform the narrative in the public eye. We have the power to do that. How do you do it? With the rejuvenation of truth. By showing them that what they said could not be done, 100% can be done. I like this Trump quote. Trump said, "This is a crossroad in the history of our civilization that will determine not whether or not we the people reclaim control over our government. State, local, and federal. We have to reclaim control, reclaim the throne, reclaim our votes. Our vote belongs to no party, no one politician. You have to earn it. You have to show that you are willing to sacrifice everything you have to serve the American people. Because we are suited up in our military gear and we are ready to fight a culture war. And if you're not ready for it, then you got to get out the way. And if you don't want to get out the way, we'll move you. We'll vote you out. It's not that hard. You have people like George Santos. They say, oh, he's a Republican, but look how much he lied. It's time out for the lying politicians who just outright lie. You got to go. The frauds, the fakes, the phonies, you have to go. The rhinos, you have to go. Those who aren't for the traditional family values that America stands for, you have to go. They say that if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, and I'm not falling. You cannot fall. Stand up, be strong, and if they don't like what you have to say, then they can keep on moving. It's only offensive if you get offended. And as they say, a hit dog will holler. So if I call something pedophilia and you get offended that I called it pedophilia, then maybe we need to take a closer look at you and not a closer look at me. If I say something is not normal and maybe someone has mental issues and you get offended, don't look at me. If I say that what is happening should not be happening and you are mad about it. But what I'm saying is the truth. I can fact check you. I can give you documentation, numbers, statistics, everything, and you're still mad. Then I'm not the problem. Right? A hit dog will holler. So if I say, hey, I don't think it's normal that men are in women's restrooms, and you get offended and you're mad and you're up hollering, jumping around, and you are ready to fight for that, that's your problem. If it's not normal, it's not normal. And if you're mad about it, oh well. You can keep going because it's no longer time for us to bow down. Stand on what you believe. Now, there are people who truly believe that stuff is right. Okay, stand on it. Stand on it. And when we come face to face, when everything is when backs are against the wall, don't change. Stand on it. Whether you agree with me or not, stand on what you agree with. Because in the end, like the Bible says, the fool who built his house on the sand when the storm came, it washed away. But the one who was built on stone, his stayed. Stand on it. And if you are standing on the truth, which is a very stable foundation, then you don't have anything to worry about. The only people who are shaken and afraid are those who are not standing on a stable foundation. Because the storm was brewing, and now we're at a melting point. Yesterday, when I was at that library meeting, the only people that were shaken were the ones who weren't standing on a steady point. They were the ones who were okay with the book when it was hard to defend it. They built their house on sand, and when the storm came through, and it did, those who built their house on stone, they stood strong. Those who were on sand, they were washed away. The Patriots Den is back. The den is open. The Lions are hungry. And we aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Wednesdays, 7, 6 Central. I'll catch y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in.